Hello, my name is Tony. Having made the decision to never watch a new movie in the cinema ever again, The Exorcist Believer broke me, to be honest folks. I now concentrate on selective streaming shows and older flicks on Blu-ray for entertainment, and I stay at home. There is some decent new stuff out there like Slow Horses on Apple and Reacher on Amazon Prime to name but two. True Detective Season 4, subtitled Night Country and featuring Jodie Foster as headliner, caught my attention. It's streaming on Sky and I'm 4 episodes in. You may not want to know my thoughts on it, so luckily for you, you can switch off or choose not to watch. For those of you who do, however, here goes. I watched Season 1 of True Detective and thoroughly enjoyed it, hooked me right in. Couldn't get into Season 2 at all, don't know why, had no appetite for it. Season 3 I found a bit scrappy, needlessly complex, overburdened with disjointed narrative confusion that, possibly unintentionally, possibly not, mirrored the dementia of one of the main characters. This new one, Season 4, is only 6 episodes, meaning not too much of a viewing commitment on my part. It also drew some conflicting critical reviews and fan reactions, some calling it a magnificent return to form, others a total nightmare of Me Too flavoured wokery and barnstorming virtue signalling. I thought to see for myself, it's the only way to find out really, and this is what I found. The Alaskan town of Ennis exists for 2 reasons: the local mining operation, which is the main source of employment, and a state-of-the-art research facility possibly working on a cure for cancer, or so the rumour goes. Just as day transitions into 60 days of night and Christmas is calling, the entire research team of scientists go missing. The only clues they leave behind are a message on a whiteboard proclaiming we are all dead, not True Detective, and a severed tongue. The tongue, it transpires, belonged to Inupiat anti-mining activist Annie, who was brutalized and stabbed to death some years earlier in a murder case that was never solved. When the scientists are found on the ice, naked, frozen together in a heap, somewhat reminiscent of the alien patchwork amalgamation of body parts in Carpenter's The Thing, the mystery as to what happened and why is utterly perplexing and seemingly impenetrable. Mismatched uber bitch cops Danvers, Jodie Foster, and Navarro, Carly Rice team up to get to the bottom of things, and they've certainly got their work cut out for them, oh yes indeed. Initial impressions were how much it reminded me of another Sky show, the British-made Fortitude, which ran for 3 seasons and featured Christopher Eccleston in the cast, who appears here as a police head honcho. It also borrows freely from Carpenter's The Thing and the vampire horror flick 30 Days of Night. Not to any glaringly plagiaristic extent, but there are definite echoes here and there. I won't judge it adversely for that though. I liked Fortitude, loved The Thing, and the vamp picture is an okay genre outing. There are far worse things one could draw inspiration from. 2 core elements redeem it and make it worth watching. First, the following. It is as uncouth and earnest as a sledgehammer in the nuts, and so voraciously in your face, it's frequently truly funny. It's almost as if someone decided to make a woke detective melodrama and then send it up as a black comedy parody of itself at the same time, Frankensteining the 2 concepts together into something of a composite. The more overwrought it gets, the heavier-handed and blunt instrument ball-busting it becomes, the thicker and faster the tub-thumping, breast-beating cliches steamroller out. It's quite surprising to see how quickly wokery and virtue signalling now lend themselves effortlessly to hackneyed cookie-cutting and formulaic boilerplating, like they're already yesterday's things, only prominently featured because someone thinks they need to be, speed fossilized and ripe for consignment to a museum to be studied as nothing more than cultural quirks in time. It rocks through a checklist of variations on current common tropes prevalent in much of today's entertainment media. You get a ball-breaking, high-ranking female cop who's an ace detective, happy to buck or indeed fuck literally the patriarchy, but is living with a tragic past involving a dead infant son. Check. Her rebellious stepdaughter is a native Inupiat lesbian who, when she isn't getting henna facial tattoos to proudly proclaim her indigeneity, is making amateur porn movies on her cell phone with her white 16-year-old girlfriend. Check. A busted, dogged, mixed-race former detective who can't let go of the one murder case she was unable to solve and which happened on her watch. Check. The 2 female cops have a shady shared history and really don't like each other. Not exactly sisters in the hood then. They'll be be some estrogen-pumped conflict ahead, I'm a-guessing. Check. Demoted female cop as a problematic younger sister, a person with schizophrenia. She's sparky, kooky, and emotionally fragile, in keeping with the mythology of the condition. She obligingly stopped taking the medication that keeps her well, because she knows best after all, you dig? Then paradoxically fears she's ending up just like their mother, who was similarly mostly off her box most of the time. Self-fulfilling prophecy incoming. Check. Lothario subversion. Danvers and Navarro both use men for sex. Yeah, fuck that sissy relationship baloney, who needs it? And they both like it on the rough and aggressive side. You go, girls. Check. There's the obstructive, misogynistic former police chief drunk on male toxicity with a Thai bride on order. She'll be coming in the mail, no doubt. He resents being relegated to a lowly grunt position and being bossed by a chick. Check. He's got a weak-willed and pussy-whipped cop son who is as mentally malleable as Play-Doh, but possibly the only morally decent male character in it, well, living anyway. Check. The virtue signaling is writ large with epic semaphore flags of titanic proportions, but the way it's handled doesn't do anyone any favours, apart from me of course, because it put me in such a good mood as I chuckled heartily throughout. It tries super hard to address worthy causes and important issues, but gets it hilariously wrong by missing the mark in the execution stakes, stereotyping wildly when it thinks it's empathising and promoting understanding. It is a genuinely amusing experience to sit through. The indigenous Inupiat people are subject to racism and treated poorly, as you'd expect. Sacrifices on the altar of white capitalism, victims of the corporate greed of the mine owners, and very likely the implied malevolence of the scientists in the research facility, where something nefarious just has to be going on, right? Sympathising with their plight isn't easy, because they are largely portrayed as bitter, downtrodden, backward, superstitious, sexually promiscuous, mentally ill malcontents. The activists in their number are very much like the Just Stop Oil cabal. They want the mine to close right away, employment to be eradicated, the town to die, and then... well, never mind the and then. We were here first, and everyone else needs to fuck off and die, and leave us alone in a ravaged wasteland of ice, snow, and darkness. Now, if they were fighting for the mine to clean up its act, stop polluting the water supply in the land, give everyone a fair shake of the prosperity tree, be more of a diligent force contributing positively to the community, that you could get on board with. But no, just stop it and get the fuck out of Dodge, you carpet-bagging bastards. It's a tough agenda to support because it doesn't make much sense. I mean, there are a lot of mixed-race relationships in town, so let's assume there is at least some level of tolerance for diversity and integration. No? Oh, okay. If the mine and the research facility shut up shop, this place has nothing else going for it. It's not exactly an attractive tourist destination, and I don't think the amateur ice fishing industry is going to sustain the whole community in the long run. The non-indigenous characters don't fare any better. Most of the men are obnoxious sexists, domestic abusers, and or redneck gun-loving jerks and yahoos. The ones who are a touch more civilized are dominated by the women both sexually and intellectually. The ladies call the shots in the bedroom and outmaneuver these thick-skulled dopes at every turn in everyday life. They're all dumb fuckwits governed by the contents of their pants and their desire for what the girls keep in theirs. The white women are either corporate medusas, drunk drivers, cold-hearted bitches, or psychic hermits seeing ghosts and spirits haunting the ice and snowy wastelands, trying to show them the whereabouts of some gruesome shit. If the men are toxic, the women ain't exactly all sunshine, roses and ruby slippers either. Past seasons have flirted with the notions of the supernatural in the most subtle and suggestive of ways, dropping intriguing little hints without being in any way obvious or conclusive. Night Country doesn't just flirt. Nope, it goes for date night, a movie, dinner and full-on sex. Native mythology, ancient symbolism, inexplicable events, visitations and ghosts are pretty much realized and accepted as influential truisms, despite Danvers' skepticism about Navarro's spirit animal, whatever the fuck that's supposed to be. This is all implemented in a po-faced, deadpan and dead serious way, which makes it an absolute riot. A satire that doesn't set out to be or realize it's satirical. Trust me, and I know it's surprising to hear me say it about something like this, but it's all hugely entertaining in its unwavering absurdity and cow-handed implementation. That's a big plus, for me anyway. Others might see it differently. I said there are two things that redeem it, make it worth your time and attention. The second is, in no uncertain terms, the two lead actors. Jodie Foster these days looks like she's had some reconstructive facial surgery following an RTA. Is that the current cosmetic trend in Hollywood now, the car crash? She's a pint-sized powerhouse all the same, mesmeric to watch, reinforcing what a brilliant and inspired performer she always was and still is. Her hard-bitten turn as Detective Elizabeth Danvers is stellar work. Then there's ex-boxer Carly Rice in her screen debut as Inupiat State Trooper Evangeline Navarro. She's something of a revelation. The term natural talent fits her like a glove. She is nothing less than superb. Together with Foster, they do in fact constitute a compelling affirmative representation of the case in support of feminism and the worth of real women. Truly beautiful, and I'm not being patronising or ironic when I say that. Additionally, the supporting cast is pitch perfect, with everyone hitting all the right notes in the right order. It includes Eccleston and Fiona Shaw, who are always good value for money. Yes, undeniably, the show is a massive woke box ticker. The only real surprise being that neither one of the female leads are transgender characters. At least, I don't think they are. You got your feminism, toxic masculinity, misogyny, sexism, racism, domestic violence, rape, murder, sexual abuse, mental illness, environmental issues, and white male patriarchy to blame for it all. Night Country falls out of the ugly white guy tree and hits every single branch on the way down like a ricocheting virtue magnet pinball. However, because it then proceeds to bludgeon the audience over the head and bitch slap them in the face with this stuff, minus any functioning artistry, subtlety or nuance, it becomes automatically ineffectual, instantly nullified and ultimately laughable. Stephen King suggested there is a limit, a cut-off point at which the human mind can tolerate and absorb only so much horror and pain before the threshold is reached and it just becomes funny. The only sane response is laughter. Night Country goes well out of its way to validate that theory from the off and succeeds admirably. For all the serious tokens and issues it vaingloriously includes on its shit list, it is something you won't take seriously in the slightest. Like I said, I'm 4 episodes in, and I'm going to see it through to the end because I'm loving it, addicted to it. Just not, I imagine, for the reasons the makers intended. I can't help that. That blame lies with them. I never thought I'd say this, but if you need evidence that wokery can be a rib-tickling, fantastic and entertaining blast, I think you'll find it in Night Country. Thank you for your time and attention. It's good night from me, and it's good night from him, her, he, she, they, them, that, those, thou, thee, and it. Good night, country.